أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum, my brothers in Islam. In this video, I will try to discuss and explain to the Muslim Ummah a very important affair, or a very important aspect of Islam that is again misunderstood by the majority of the Muslim Ummah. This is the second pillar of Islam, or the third pillar of Islam, the fasting on the month of Ramadan. There is a video explaining a certain hadith of the Holy Apostle and drawing the attention of the Muslim Ummah on the importance of astronomical calculation. I wrote a book on that, having the experience of the deviation of the Muslim Ummah all over the world on citing a lunar crescent. But before I begin this, I would like to read what a lady, Suzanne Hanif, wrote on whatever one should know about Islam and the Muslims. This is a very important book published in 1979 because she drew the attention of the Muslim world, of mankind, to distinguish between a Muslim and Islam. Because Islam is pure, and you are a Muslim if you profess it and follow its tenets, injunctions. But if you fail by even a simple action, a deed, you fail to become a Muslim. This is what she wrote in 1979 after accepting Islam. However, Islam is already known and understood in the Western world that to many people, especially in America, it is simply another strange religious cult or sect. Allah is some sort of a hidden deity. Muhammad is someone who is worshipped by hordes of pagans overseas. And the Muslims are either militant, sword-wielding Bedouins mounted on camels, fanatical men of religion with long robes and beards, or rich, decadent playboys. Indeed, Islam has been so gravely misunderstood and misrepresented in the West that many people in America and Europe think of it as an enemy to any sort of stability, peace, and progress. They mistrust it, fear it, and regard it as a dire threat without, as a rule, knowing anything about it other than what the popular media convey, which almost invariably reflects grave inaccuracies and errors. This is very serious today, because whatever is discussed in the social media, which is probably a greater weapon in spreading information and education than the conventional media, is nothing but actually the Muslim Ummah distorted, misinterpreting, and misrepresenting Islam. Unfortunately, they have the voice and the upper hand, and unfortunately there is no authority in Islam to check such mischievous presentations in the social media and even in the websites and the forum of the Muslim Ummah. She went further saying, the Western world today is full of experts on Islam who consider themselves far more knowledgeable about it than the Muslims who are living today, but who seldom, if ever, take the trouble to understand Islam, especially its central worldview and the basic concepts on a deeper level. This is a very important statement. But definitely it's a pretense, the Western experts don't know anything about Islam because they don't read it with the intention to follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then again she said, it is partly due to the confused and a distorted picture of Islam which the behavior of many Muslims, those who profess this faith but do not live by it, often doing everything which it does not permit and doing nothing which it requires, very unfortunately presents it. It is also due in part to the fact that many people in the Western world think of any religious system in terms of Christian concepts and values, or in terms of the concepts of Western civilization, which do not necessarily fit with or apply in Islam. These two observations are very, very important, and that is the problem the Muslim Ummah is facing, because whatever is presented in the social media and other platforms is nothing but underreporting, misunderstanding, and persistence in refusing to understand Islam because of the lack of the basic ingredients essential in understanding Islam. Muslims know very well that it's not permissible to issue fatwa unless a person has studied fiqh in depth under the supervision and the guidance of competent experts in the field. Where are these experts today? They are supposed to exactly narrate and explain what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained in the Sunnah. The classical literature of Islam has its own style and terminology, and requires careful analysis in context. A true perception can only be achieved under a constant guidance, tutelage, and the supervision of distinguished experts recognized in that field. But today, where are these experts? These experts are in the Hadith books, the teachings and the writings of Ibn Taymiyyah, Al-Jawzi, Shatibi, Shawkani, Al-Ghazali, and Ibn Hazm al-Andalusia. A hadith without commentary is just like crude oil. I doubt if our so-called Muslim scholars are experts. For that being the case, I would not have written the book on astronomical calculation explaining the ambiguity or the obscurity of the Crescent. Secondly, in my quest to know the Sunnah from trusted Muslim scholars, I bought the book on As-Salat written by Mufti Maulana Muhammad Ashraf Ali, How to Offer the Salat Correctly, Pakistan, Darul Ishat. I did not find any substance in it on actually how to offer the salat according to the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That meant I compared what he wrote with the volume of literature I have on this very important pillar of Islam. For example, on page 170, rule 17, he says, in the second raka'at, one should recite a longer surah than the surah recited in the first raka'at. I had never come across this injunction. What he meant is, tartil is allowed, but the sunnah comes with the first raka'ah is always longer than the second raka'ah. But if we establish that tartil, it's acceptable, like reciting chapter Some Ism Arabic chapter A'la and Gashia. A'la is shorter, but Gashia is longer. At the same time, Rasulullah recited Surah Al-Sajdah on Friday, Fajr prayer, and Ad-Dahr, second raka'ah. Ad-Dahr is shorter by only one verse, 30 and 31. That is allowed. Abu Bakr Siddiq recited 180 verses of Baqarah and the rest of 94 or 102 in the second raka'ah. I will recite 189 verses in first raka'ah of Surah of Fajr prayer in Surah Al-Baqarah, and the rest of 98 or 97 verses. That is the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The literature on astronomy is in no way ever contradicting the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is important to mention the contribution of Professor Muhammad Ilyas of Malaysia among Muslim contributors, and the beautiful work and explanation by Dr. Khalid Shaukat, which is definitely not 100% accurate. Astronomy began with the observation of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, revealed in Holy Quran chapter 6 verses 76 and 78, explaining that Qadir Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He first saw a star, then it set. The moon, it set. The sun, it also set. This is depicting the 3 days of Crescent, sighting from the eastern horizon and the sighting from the western horizon. The moon is seen on the eastern horizon on the 26th, 27th, and 28th days. On the western horizon on the 1st, 2nd, and the 3rd days. If the moon is sighted on the eastern horizon on the 28th day, it will complete 30 days. And if not sighted on that day, but on the 27th day, it will complete 29 days. So astronomically, one has not seen the moon on the western horizon according to its appearance on these 2 days. As soon as Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam observed its rise and splendor, that is on the 3rd day, from the eastern horizon to its setting on the western horizon, he described, "This is my Lord. This is greater." When it sets also, he said, "O my people, I am indeed free from all that you join as partners in worship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Verily, I have turned my face towards him, Hanifa, and am not al-mushrik." This is also in our Sunnah, but it should be replaced by innovation. It is important to understand that the last 3 days and the first 1 to 3 days of a lunar months are called al-ahilla. Muslim astronomers extensively investigated the problems of moons sighting, especially in the 8th to 10th century Christian era. They developed visibility criteria and created tables for calculations. This study began with Yaqub ibn Tariq, who died 796 AD. In 1977, F. Bruin published details of theoretical moon sighting criteria based on crescent width and the sun-moon altitude. The curves were meant to indicate the solar depression at which the crescent would become visible and also the duration of visibility. In this case, there is no difference between astronomy and sighting the crescent with the naked eye. We must mention Dr. Manzoor Ahmed, who gave an analysis of the development of astronomy, culminating today, among other astronomers, Dr. Muhammad Ilyas of Malaysia. In 1999, I bought a book written by him, and after convincing myself of its accuracy, I stopped blindly following the traditional crescent moon sighting in Nigeria. Anybody who studied geography, physics, mathematics, or arithmetic will definitely understand that, provided he has the mind to understand the Sunnah and follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Unfortunately, despite my multiple fatwas in Nigeria, the Ummah refused to listen to me, preferring to obey Al-Quran crescent sighting that is inaccurate and not following the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I don't blame them, for they have repeatedly assured the Muslim Ummah that their calculation is based on customary activities of the Arabs in Saudi Arabia. I joined Islamic Crescent Observation Program, a group of about 800 Muslims and non-Muslims in 2012, discussing sighting of the crescent. Some of the Muslim members certainly do not have a grasp of the Sunnah. The program is headed by Dr. Muhammad Odi of Jordan. It is impossible to reach a conclusion. To explain to some Muslims in the group the sighting of the crescent according to the Sunnah, that it never contradicts astronomical calculation. Unfortunately, it is only in Islam that one is taught not from the basic and the basic scholastic requirement in understanding a particular profession. Forgetting that in Islam it is prohibited to say something on what one does not know, for that one is invariably building his house in hellfire. That is the precise saying of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are a folk not knowing how to write or calculate. The month is like this, 29 or 30 days. But we must go back now to the Holy Quran to explain the word Ummi. It appears 4 times in Medina and 2 times in Mecca. In Mecca, in Surah Al-A'raf, verse 157 to 158. The word Ummi refers to Yahud, the children of Israel. Yahud, not Bani Israel. That is distinction. Nasara, who followed after them, and other civilizations, including the Arabs. When it refers to Arabs, it includes Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Therefore, now we go back to Medina and understand how the word is applied to him. In Mecca, it is both applied to him as a Rasul and a Prophet. But in Medina, we find وَمِنْهُمْ أُمِّيُّونَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ الْكِتَابَ إِلَّا أَمَانِيَّ وَإِنْهُمْ إِلَّا يَظُنُّونَ وَمِنْهُمْ, not وَمِنْكُمْ. So it's not, the word is not now here applying to the Muslim Ummah, because it could have said وَمِنْكُمْ, but it said وَمِنْهُمْ, either a different race or the hypocrites. Ummi, it is attached منصوبة إلى أماني أمية التي هي على أصل ولادتها من أمهاتها لم تتعلم الكتابة ولا تحسن قراءة للمكتوبة. This is the description of the Arabs, because for 2,500 years they never had a revelation. The Quraysh had no revelation guidance for almost 2,500 years. Albeit not imagining that they do not know the Sharia or cannot read. That is the meaning. So, Ummi does not refer to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In my book, The Sciences of Hadith Literature, I tried to explain the genesis of writing in the Quraysh family going back to around 570 AD. They were without a had in this sense for the month of Ramadan on sighting the crescent of a lunar month, although they observed the fast of Ashura, the 10th day of Muharram. They were in contact with the Levi clan in Medina, who had the Torah. They could not claim knowledge from the Torah except from the Holy Apostle. Therefore, when one discusses astronomy, one should know the similarities and the differences. It is worth reminding that in the hadith, Rasulullah did not say Shahr al-Ramadan, but only a-Shahr. The former is Muqayyid and Khasatan. The latter is Amatan and Mutlaq. Let us go back to the sense of understanding fiqh and the wordings in the Holy Quran and also the hadith of the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It is not allowed to say Shahr, but you must say Shahr Ramadan. Now, when did this hadith was narrated? In the second year or third year before the oath taken by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or after that particular oath. So we have to be very careful to go and further in. I don't like to explain this because there is no time. Now, regarding the Sunnah, Nafi, the Mawla of Abdullah ibn Umar, he died 117 after Hijrah. Abdullah ibn Umar died 76 after Hijrah. All the narrators of this hadith are tabi'in, but we have nothing against them. He further explained that Ibn Umar used to send people to look for the crescent of the month of Ramadan on the 29th of Sha'ban. Now, we have to know also the style of communication by the Arabs. 29th of Ramadan means 28th of Sha'ban. 29th of Sha'ban means 28th of Sha'ban. Because one is supposed to check the moon at dawn on the 28th day, as explained earlier. Then again to trace the moon on the 29th of Sha'ban. That is the meaning of that he would send some people to look for the crescent of the month of Ramadan on the 29th of Sha'ban. If they sight it, he begins fasting. If the crescent is not sighted on the 29th and the sky is clear without cloud, dust, he will not begin fasting. Definitely it is not available. It's not there in the sky. If the sky is obscured and the crescent can be sighted, he will fast the next day, even without sighting on the 29th. Sighting the crescent is in an obscured atmosphere means that he has estimated, calculated, qadrulahu, with certainty that the crescent can be sighted because he has been tracking the phases of the moon, as I will explain later on from day one. If, on the other hand, the sky is clear and the crescent not sighted, he will not begin fasting. Note the use of the word qadarulahu and not hisab. This instruction is referring to astronomers because they are the higher, a body or assembly with the knowledge not known by other Muslim Ummah. That was the description before, but not today. But the question is, how are these professionals going to relate to the Sunnah if they are not versed in Arabic language and are not interested in learning the Sunnah from reliable sources? Certainly, their knowledge cannot surpass the Sunnah, but only explain and help in understanding it. In that, a Muslim is supposed to know about astronomy to enable him estimate the course of the Crescent as done by Abdullah ibn Umar. Is it 29 days or 30 days? Qadru lahu, from the root qadr and the word qadarna in the Holy Quran, and the moon, wal qamaru qadarna manazilahu. And the moon, we have measured it for its mentions to traverse it till it returns to the old dried, carved dead stalk. The measure of its mentions here is about 25.55 minutes. The qadr of the Holy Apostle is the translation of the verse into action. This is in according to the Holy Quran. هو الذي جعل الشمس ضياء والقمر نورا وقدره منازل لتعلموا عدد السنين والحساب. It is he who made the sun a shining thing and the moon as a light, and then measured out for it the moon and not the sun, stated that you might know لتعلموا and not لتعلموا عدد السنين والحساب, the number of years and the reckoning. Allah did not create this but in truth. He explained the ayat in detail for people who have knowledge. What of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Who was his teacher? Certainly Angel Gabriel. So Angel Gabriel taught Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam how to trace and track moon phases. What of Rasulullah? Did he alimana explain to us, to the Sahabas? Muhammad Rasulullah explained the ayat by simply saying a lunar month is 30 or 29 days. The hadith that they are illiterate does not apply to this, but an affirmation that the knowledge is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are other verses that people should know. That وما كنت تتلو من قبله من الكتاب ولا تخطه بيمينك. It's probably another more proof, burhan, and argument supporting Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Allah definitely has freed him from any blame. At that time, from the Levi clan, before the Holy Quran, you are reciting anything, you don't read anything, and you don't even write. A very interesting episode or incident was when Rasulullah wanted to make a poem, a poetry. He made 2 lines, but completely distorted. Abu Bakr pitied him and said, "Oh dear me, this gentleman doesn't even know how to construct what we are well known in about it, that is poetry." Fast on citing it and break the fast on citing it. That is what Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam said. هذا ربي لا أحب الآفلين. If the sky is overcast, estimate the days. Qadaru lahu is explaining the crescent stage of the lunar months on the last 3 days before it appears on the western horizon. At least one of the senior Sahabas, Abdullah ibn Umar, understood that and explained it to his Mawla Nafi. This phenomenon or stages in knowing the crescent courses are observed when the moon is in the eastern horizon, turning into dried curved dead stalk, stage of conjunction. It is a retrospective analysis and observation not limited to the month of Sha'ban and Shawwal. It is an ibadah, my friends. There is no action in Islam not an ibadah. Even glancing at a lady once and twice is an ibadah. You can glance at a beautiful lady once or twice, but not 3 times. That is ibadah. Anything allowed by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is ibadah. So sighting the moon is ibadah. I will explain how to sight it. The Muslim Ummah should reconsider the position of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Could he at that time announce sighting of a crescent moon, but not actually in the sky, without witnesses? It's practically impossible. So the insistence that it should be sighted is for the common good of the Muslim Ummah. At least in his time, nobody should blame him for becoming a sorcerer or a majnun or an astrologer. In most days, the moon is seen on the eastern horizon according to the description of moonrise and the moonset timetable. I have been following it for over 30 years and I never see contradiction. It is much easier to estimate the crescent ahilla from the eastern horizon, as it is separating more from the sun and hence getting brighter. The crescent is not estimated on the western horizon after sunset prospective observation, for that's a general requirement not binding on experts. Reporting the crescent is a dexterous exercise. Guesswork is not allowed. One has to be serious and patient. Laziness is not allowed. We should respect and listen to the professionals as demanded in a disciplined society, who do not tayassar, cut cogent evidences and proofs in explaining the Sunnah. I used to wait for half an hour for the moon to appear on the eastern horizon until I became professional. Now I just come out 5 minutes before to sight it. Even every now, I don't miss this ibadah. The argument that sighting the crescent is not compulsory on the Muslim Ummah is dictated by the position of Rasulullah as a mercy sent to mankind. In today's world, it is compulsory and obligatory for all to track the lunar crescent because it is an ibadah, but only for those who want to enter Firdaus. If you want to enter ordinary paradise, you don't have to do extra things that you can get credit. In summary, Qadru lahu is achieved through observing the eastern horizon daily for moonrise from the 7th day of a lunar month to 27th, 28th crescent days. This is for beginners to acquaint with moon phases and the time. Ibn Taymiyyah observed that the moon sets at around midnight on the 7th day. On the 14th day, it appears around the first part of the night, sunset, and sets around sunrise. On the 21st day, it appears around midnight. I have witnessed all this. Definitely, and this estimation agrees with visibility curves and the moon, sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset timetable. Another criterion is knowing the days of the moon and observing the white days, 13th, 14th, and 15th, as recommended by the Holy Apostle. Number 2, observing the western horizon the night the crescent is expected to be sighted. Already you have been observing the position of the stars, that on the day the crescent will appear at about 4 to 5. And if you see the star, certainly the moon has set. It's there in the sky. You observe it for 40 minutes, it will disappear. Observing the western horizon again on the second day lasts for about an hour. On the third day for about 1.5 hours. There cannot be in series 29 and 30 days for 3 consecutive months. It is either 2 months, 29 days, followed by 1 month of 30 days, or vice versa. In a year, there can be 6 months of 30 and 29 days, or 7 months of 30 and 5 months of 29 days. A lunar year is either 365 or I think 355 days. That must tell you on each crescent sighting. That was the pattern from the beginning of creation, meaning فَقَدَرُوهُ. This simple instruction baffled the Muslim Ummah because they do not read. Therefore, they prefer to become illiterate and ignorant, become muqallidun. However, there is no excuse. The Muslim Ummah must be extremely careful. Definitely, I'm sorry to say, the Muslim Ummah in Europe and USA are further disgracing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in social media. Therefore, we must be very careful. Those Western scholars yet understand Islam should remember La yadhum anil hawa. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will never say something on his own volition. And Allah threatened him, وَلَوْ تَقَوَّلُ عَلَيْنَا بَعْدَ الْأَقَاوِيلِ. If you were to say something, not what Angel Gabriel taught you, you will be in trouble. I will seize you and I will cut your artery. Applying to him and applying to us, he said, anybody who says something not said by him is building his house in Jahannam. My dear brothers, let us understand Islam and ask questions. It is unfortunate that I sent my books, 2 important books, one on prayers, one on this sighting of the moon, to imams in USA and the United Kingdom with my email address. But up to today, not a single imam felt it necessary as an ibadah to refer my mistakes. So what are we after, the Muslim Ummah? Destroying Islam? Or what? Education is necessary. If Allah asks me, Ikra kitabaka, I have evidences, especially on the obligatory prayers. I will wait here and advise Muslim Ummah to make effort and read on their own, and we strive to become a nation, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا وَلْتَكُنْ مِنكُمْ أُمَّةً يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ. السلام عليكم.